Welcome back to another film talk. Today we're going to be talking about 1999's The Mummy. This was probably one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid, and I'm so excited to talk about it here on the channel. It's still one of my favorite movies today, and I pretty much watch it every year. The 1999 movie is a reboot or reworking of the 1932 classic Universal monster film, The Mummy, starring Boris Karloff. I really love that Universal decided to reboot one of its classic monster movies, which was a horror film, into a rip-roaring Indiana Jones-style adventure film. The Indiana Jones films were, and still are, some of my favorite films of all time, and growing up I desperately needed other films like that, and I don't know how I stumbled across the Mummy franchise, but this was an awesome companion piece to me to Indiana Jones. Brendan Fraser is the Indiana Jones stand-in here, and his character is Rick O'Connell. He is much more of a goofy and sillier character than Indiana Jones. Much of the charm and success of this film is due to Brendan Fraser's performance in this film. Rachel Weisz is another huge reason why I love this film. I really love her performance in this, and I think her chemistry with Brendan Fraser is kind of unmatched in these kind of adventure romantic style movies. Plus, I mean, she's pretty easy on the eyes. Anyway, the chemistry between Weisz and Fraser is something that we don't even see in today's modern films. If all of the huge franchise and blockbuster films featured two performances with as much chemistry as these two have, then we would be in much better shape than we do now, instead of getting the boring, bland, unmemorable stuff that we are used to nowadays. The cinematography of this film is actually really good in my opinion. It's shot by Adrian Biddle, who also shot The Princess Bride and Aliens. One thing I love about The Mummy is that it feels real. You can tell that they're shooting on location. It's not a movie filmed strictly in a studio on a green screen like most Marvel movies and franchise films. The sets are real sets, the locations are real locations, everything feels tangible, and this is the kind of filmmaking that I put on the highest level. I believe that the best filmmaking is when a filmmaker shoots what is actually there in front of the camera. If you do it real live in front of you with practical effects and real sets, the movie feels richer and more realistic and true to life. I've heard Quentin Tarantino himself say the same statement that I just said. It's his filmmaking motto, his philosophy, and I truly believe that that's where the greatest filmmaking comes from, and many other directors believe that too. Like I said earlier, this film was mostly practical effects. The exception here is obviously The Mummy. It's definitely CGI, and I don't think it looks too bad, but it's aged a little bit since '99, obviously. I still think it's pretty effective, and it just adds to the personality and charm of the movie. The Mummy has more cinematic integrity than pretty much any Marvel movie, in my opinion, and definitely more than most franchise or blockbuster big budget films made today. The movie is full of silly moments sprinkled throughout the action, and it gives the film its personality. The scarab beetles are fantastic and horrifying at the same time. This is probably the biggest threat to everybody in the whole movie, even over the Mummy. I've always thought these beetles were a really nice touch to the film, and it provides a secondary danger to the Mummy that is trying to kill them all. The guy who played the Mummy is, he's good. He's nothing spectacular. He's definitely better here in this first Mummy movie over the Mummy Returns, which he was actually really bad in. But that is a topic for another day. I really love this movie. I love its adventurous and silly personality. They really don't make movies like this anymore, and it's such a solid and well-made film featuring really charming and convincing performances by pretty much all the actors involved. I mean, if Universal made this movie like now, it would be utter trash. They tried to do it in 2017 with Tom Cruise. That was utter trash. But if they made it now in 2022, I just know that Chris Pratt would be the lead, which I think he's horrible, and it would be shot all on green screen in the studio. So, Universal, please do not reboot The Mummy anymore. Just let this movie be. I think it's an amazing movie in its own right. This is the best film that Stephen Sommers has ever made, and I think that all the right ingredients and pieces just came together to make one of the best adventure entertainments out there. That's all I have to say about The Mummy. I love this film, and I hope you guys love it just as much as I do. Also, I'm so here for the Brendan Fraser comeback. I'm so excited to see him on the big screen again in some big movies. I just can't wait. Thanks for watching, guys.